I know, this challenge has already been done by this guy, but I started recording this in November. God, I'm slow. And I'm not going to let the hours I put in just go to waste like that, so I'm at least going to upload Act 1. But why did I even start this challenge run? Mainly because compared to Gale, I won't have to resurrect him after every single fight. Skill issue. No, it's not. Let's move on to the character creator where Why is there no proceed button? And the bottom part of the menu is missing. Great. Give me a minute. So, after changing some settings in OBS and restarting the run, you should be able to see... But why is there no video playing? What do you mean there is no video? Someone forgot to press the recording button. Great. It's hard having a job done well, especially if you are the one doing the job, isn't it? Let's just move on to attempt 3 then, which goes way better. Third time release to charm, who would have known? Firstly, please don't mind the 16:10 ratio. I started recording this on a 16:10 monitor and later swapped to a 16:9, so you will have to live with this for the first like 10 minutes. I'm sorry. Secondly, our main character will be a gold dwarf druid, later druid of the spores. And he will get the very fitting name, Solo. The Dream Guardian will be completely left on default optics. I know, I'm lazy. After waking up on the Nautiloid, I quickly went and picked up the first summon of this run, the Intellective Aura, which also lets me transition into explaining the rules of this run. Firstly, only non-companion characters are allowed to deal damage or interact with enemies. Secondly, tactician difficulty only, and lastly, no duplicated classes inside my party. But I will only be able to use the Intellective Aura for a short time, because after clearing the first encounter and rushing through the control room, I'm already outside the Nautiloid and again on my own. Luckily I won't be alone for long, cause I'm able to recruit Shadowheart very quickly and make my way to the next fight, which already puts me in front of a problem. I have no summons, and I won't have any till level 3, meaning that I have to stealth around the first encounter, which goes surprisingly well, and have to manage to get somehow to level 3 without any encounters, which shouldn't be too hard. From here on I recruit Gale, who gets the School of Necromancy, Historian,
was ready to go this
The
and
tadpole hasn't yet scrambled all your senses. Auspicious.
After that I go to the Emerald Grove and help defend it. And luckily nothing goes wrong. Okay, maybe. Probably it's a skill issue. But at least Will balances out my lack of skill. Still, this fight is more or less unlosable.
That was the last of them. Inside! All of you! More may follow!
Inside the grove I recruit Will and do some story stuff, which I will mostly skip over during this run. After that I walk over to the Blighted Village, which gives me enough XP to reach level 3. This unlocks Flaming Sphere for Solo and Gale, a reliable summon which can't miss. Spiritual Weapon for Shadowheart, a strong summon with low mobility. And Pact of the Chain for Will. I also pick up this little guy from down here. Isn't he adorable? Now that I have some summons, let's do some encounters, shall we? Starting with the chapel, which due to me being probably one level above the intended level for this fight, really wasn't any problem. Pretty much the same also applies for the fight inside the chapel, but here it was mainly because fire and explosives. Really? Because fire and explosives? Seriously? Okay, let's do it that way. because fire and explosives are such a great combination. The skeletons inside the last room were even less trouble and could have just stayed dead. With that, I gained access to withers who I will be using later to respec some of my characters. At this point I did take a small break from this project. Okay, maybe it was more than just a small break. Still, this was more or less the main reason why this video took so long. But once I came back to this, I had way more hours in the game, about a month more experience, and was ready to finish this challenge. I started by respecing my characters to adjust the stats of everyone, swapping out Shadowheart's Trickery domain for Light domain, and swapping out Will for Historian with respect to Beastmaster. After that I headed towards the Goblin camp, got into a fight on the way, which I beat second try. Then I remembered to get the most important summon of all, Scratch. I also recruited Karlak, but I'm probably not gonna use her, and also Scratch. Who's a good boy? No, where was I again? Right, Goblin camp. So, after convincing the guards that I belong here, I freed two prisoners, the Bard Wallow and this random bear, who turns out to be some guy called Helsin. Considering this is a challenge run, I should probably also mention how the fights went, but to be honest they were pretty boring. Now that I have Helsin, you might be thinking that the fights against the goblin leaders will be easy, right? Well, not really. Let's start with the Minfara fight, which technically started over here, kinda. You see, during this fight over here, the enemies in the other room joined this fight, leading to the Minfara fight chaining into this fight after I killed the last enemy. This normally wouldn't be too bad of a problem, cause you can just knock down Minfara with the bridge. Or a Thunder Wave. Or another Thunder Wave, which also killed Shadowheart, making her the second casualty during this fight. I wish the next fight was as interesting as the last one, but besides the spiders helping me after Helsin shoved someone down, nothing really special happened, and I was able to beat the fight first try. Sadly not everyone lived through the entire fight, and Historian died. Lastly, there's Priester Scott, which is by far the easiest fight of the three and probably could have been beaten by Helsin alone, so let's just skip over it. But I do reach level 4 here, allowing me to pick the Resilient trait for Gale, Solo and Shadowheart, which gives me proficiency in Constitution saving throws, primarily used for concentration, and also the Tough feat for Historian for some extra HP. After that I just started doing random encounters so that I would be able to get more XP to reach level 5, so I would be able to get better summons and do harder fights. I started by doing the Harpies encounter at the Emerald Grove, which went surprisingly well, considering they can just fly on a higher elevation, getting out of range of my burning spheres. But thanks to this bear joining the fight, it was won without too much effort. Next up was the Gnoll encounter here on the road, which thanks to the Gnolls up here joining was harder than the Priestess Gut fight. The main problem here was the damage output of these Gnolls and the ability to outrun my spiritual weapons, and sometimes even my bars. Still, I was able to beat this fight with 2 flaming spheres remaining. This means that the fight was easier than the upcoming one, the Paladins of Tears fight. Here again, the biggest threat was the damage output of the Paladin's Smite, allowing him to kill Gale. But besides that, I was able to beat the fight with most spell slots remaining. Next up, there are a few boss fights, starting with the Owlbear. Thanks to me convincing these 2 strangers to join me in the battle, it wasn't too hard. Crushing Flight was a bit of an annoyance though, because it was able to consistently break at least one of my concentrations. Oh, I also had to protect the cub from one of the strangers. Luckily I was able to beat the Owlbear before he was able to kill the cub. If I ever see you again, it's gonna be ugly, you hear me? After that I got into a fight with some Gif over here at the bridge. I'm not even gonna attempt this fight. Back to some boss fights. Like this Gnoll boss fight over here at the cave, which was made easy due to the ability to convince the Gnolls to feast on the people in the cave first, and to convince this gentleman to feast on the other Gnolls, making him an ally in this fight, before finally attacking the Gnoll 1-on-1. 1-1, 9-on, you know what I mean. Making the fight against this gentleman easy. One death isn't an indicator of a hard fight, 2 are. Okay, it wasn't easy, but it still was winnable first try. Before I got into the next fight, I got the horn from these ogres and went on to fight the redcaps down in the sun. Due to me trying to save supplies, I only took a partial long rest before this fight, and lost because of a lack of spell slots. Twice. But I was able to beat the fight easily after a normal long rest, showcasing one of the bigger problems during this challenge, the usage of supplies. Because I have to use 80 supplies per long rest and have to long rest after nearly every encounter, supplies are getting drained really fast. Luckily this wasn't a problem till now and shouldn't be in the near future, because I was able to get around 500 supply in the goblin camp after defeating Rexleaf. But the next encounter, the Pawns of the Hag, wouldn't just turn winnable after a long rest. I walked in expecting a tough but doable fight, but I got completely decimated, and lost after killing only one of the Pawns. Instead of investing hours retrying this fight, I decided to get the last XP for level 5 elsewhere. Like this burning village, which already burned down. Let's open an important quest inside of this NPC. Anyways, that's not really what I came for. I came for the hideout underneath, in which I'm apparently not welcome. Let's do it the hard way then, if you can call it the hard way. Luckily, fire combines as well with wood as it does with explosives. It doesn't kill them, but it reduces their effectiveness, making this fight as easy as most side encounters. Just with some visibility problems. With now only a few XP missing, I decided to adventure into the next region. Let's hope this doesn't advance any storylines, and slaughter some drunken goblins. Luckily the only hard part here was seeing the enemies. If I had a nickel for every fight where the hardest part was seeing the enemies, I would have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. The more important part is that I finally reached level 5, unlocking animated for Solo, Shadowheart and Gale, as well as getting an upgrade for Historian's Beast Summons. You might be asking yourself why this is so important. Skeletons. Let me show you what I mean by clearing the blighted village. And I know this might be looking easy for a challenge run, but there's a catch. Skeletons need dead bodies to be summoned, adding additional limited resources to manage. This gets even more limited because the bodies can't be burned or turned to dust, which is what happens when I kill them with Flaming Sphere or Skeletons, making it even more limited. Luckily this doesn't make them weaker, allowing me to more or less walk into the goblin camp. And with that, into the Underdark we go. First up, Bullet, which is an easy fight after an "Hey, the owlbear." Wait, where are you going? Thanks, Gale. Anyways, where the hell is the bear? By the way, this pathing was a problem throughout the entire run. Again, back to the Bullet fight, which the third time around really wasn't too bad anymore. I also picked up this guy to help with the Dwager fight down at the harbor, which wasn't going to be easy, until I somehow broke the AI. To be more precise, I broke the pathing of the strongest of them, delaying his first attack till turn 5 or so, allowing me to clear everyone else before fighting him. Then I got into conversation with this room guy here and started a fight because I wasn't ready to betray the Myconid colony. I was not ready for this fight. And with my last save being before the Dragar fight, which I didn't wanna go through again. I found the only way to exiting this conversation being killing all my characters, or at least downing them with Shadowheart. This resulted in Astarion considering leaving the party. It's gonna be fun to deal with later. The Arba is back, and thanks to him I don't have to transition into the next fight against the Dwaggers at the Grimforge. But if I had to make a transition, I would probably say something about the difficulty curve. This fight was much harder. I have like 5 times more footage of this fight than of any other fight. The first attempt went pretty well. Wait, you know what? No! The second try already was the winning one. Apparently the fight was longer than hard. Well, that's what you get by judging fights by length. If you want to know more about the fight, everyone grouped on the platform and I killed everyone. There isn't much strategy in just brute force. It's a fitting theme for the run. I also killed Nier and treat the gnomes. Time for the last 3 boss fights of this run, starting with Grim. And this wasn't going to be an easy fight, for real this time. The main problem is the hammer in the middle, specifically that I can only activate it with the mage hand, which I can only summon once. Combining this with Grim killing my skeletons in one shockwave, and him having to step off the platform to get superheated, this fight might just be impossible. And I mean it. With flaming spheres taking a turn to move and my skeletons dying instantly, I wasn't able to protect the mage hand and deemed this fight impossible. Next up is the Hag. The Hag. She was completely on the other side of the difficulty spectrum, and I destroyed her on my first try. I sadly wasn't able to rescue Marina. But this fight was pretty anticlimactic for a boss fight, so let's end this video on a fight that deserves to be fought last. A fight that took multiple hours, a fight that win was within reach from the first try, a fight I don't even dare to try in my honor mode runs, a fight against the ugliest of races, a fight against the Inquisitor Trivarg. This guy.
Then your illustrious adventure ends here.
Luckily I had a plan for this fight, the Ogre Horn, which didn't work. The ogres apparently can't hear me from 100 feet under the ground. Huh. Who would have expected that? That's a problem. The second try was much better. On the third attempt I adjusted the positioning of my units, and this allowed me to get close to victory. From here on the strategy was set. Kill the goons and only then focus on the Inquisitor himself, while hoping to win before the Sanctuary counter runs out. And just a bit later, this strategy got the victory. I just needed to... No. I think I'm gonna need a break. I'm back, and this time I'm going to win. For the next attempt, I was easily able to kill all the goons, but killing the Inquisitor was hard. I never was able to finish him off due to a lack of resources. If I only had a few more spell slots, it would be so much easier. This went on for a few attempts until I got this attempt.
Still breathing, despite everything.
I finally won. You want to know how? I just took a long rest. Yeah. The heck was so easy of a fight that I just didn't take a long rest before this fight. And the spell slots missing from this were the ones missing for the win. Anyway, with the last fight done with... Alright, I forgot about that. I tried to fight her in her room, but it didn't go well. So I decided to just do it later here. But I forgot that I wouldn't be able to take a long rest. meaning that I'm completely out of spell slots. There is no way I'm winning this fight. So which alternatives are there? The only one I can think of is very anticlimactic. I just go towards the secret room over here and go to my camp. Yeah, I said it's really anticlimactic. From here on, I make my way to Act 2, mainly because even though I don't plan on continuing this run, in case I do, I wanna save the resources. With that, we reach the end of this run. I hope you enjoyed the challenge run and the shitty paint drawings. Hey! And if you liked it, please subscribe. Bye.